Sometimes the truth sits right in front of you, but losing someone hurts more than facing it. I should have seen it coming, honestly, part of me did. But when you love someone that deeply, you start telling yourself little stories just so your heart doesn't break in the daylight. It began with tiny moments, the kind you almost shrug off. Tanya correcting me in front of the kids, as if I suddenly didn't know how to read a bedtime story or tie a shoelace. That sting, small, sharp, like someone tapping on a bruise. Then there were the eye rolls. Every time I mentioned James. Our honeymoon. The way he used to make me laugh so hard I'd snort. Those were memories that kept me going, moments that warmed me on lonely nights. And to see her roll her eyes, like my whole life before her was some joke. That cut deeper than I ever let on. And then, the holidays. Lord, that one still sits heavy. I remember baking my pumpkin pie, waiting for Nathan to call about the plans. Waiting. And waiting. Until I saw the photos online. Tanya hosting Thanksgiving at her mother's house. My grandkids smiling at a table I wasn't invited to. No message. No explanation. Not even a quick, "Mom, we'll miss you this year." Just silence. And the thing about silence is, it gets loud. Loud enough to hurt. Little things, yes. But little things can bruise your heart in ways big things don't. Because big things hit once. But little things? They chip away at you, slow and steady, until one day you realize the person you love has already stepped 3 miles away from you. And you never even saw them go. Sometimes the truth sits right in front of you, but losing someone hurts more than facing it. I keep telling myself I should have seen it coming. Deep down, I think my heart did. But I ignored it, the way you ignore a storm cloud when you're praying the weather holds. Because admitting the truth meant admitting that the people I loved most were slowly pushing me out. And I wasn't ready to feel that kind of pain. It started with little moments. Tiny. Easy to brush off if you squint hard enough. Tanya correcting me in front of the kids. Not gently, not playfully. But in that sharp tone that makes you feel small. Like my words didn't matter anymore. Like my years of motherhood suddenly counted for nothing. I'd laugh it off in front of the kids, pretend it didn't sting. But later, when I washed dishes alone, I'd feel the ache settle under my ribs. And the eye rolls. God, those hurt more than anything she ever said. Whenever I talked about my honeymoon. The one trip James and I saved for. The one memory that still makes my heart warm on cold nights. She'd roll her eyes like I was boring her. Like the love of my life was just some old story she'd heard too many times. But you don't roll your eyes at someone's heartbreak. You don't roll your eyes at the memories that kept them alive when grief tried to swallow them whole. Then came the holidays. That was the moment I felt something inside me go quiet. They had Thanksgiving at her mother's house. No call. No text. Not even a simple, "Mom, we'll miss you." I found out through pictures. My grandkids smiling at a table I didn't even know was being set. I sat there staring at my silent phone. My freshly baked pie cooling on the counter. Feeling like I'd been erased from a story I helped write. Little things, yes. But little things can bruise you in places no one sees. Big hurts are loud, they knock you flat. But little hurts? They're quiet. They slip in through the cracks. And before you know it, you're sitting alone, wondering when the people you loved stopped seeing you altogether. Have you ever poured your whole heart into something, only to watch it disappear in one single message? I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at that little duffel bag like it held my whole world. Just 2 sundresses folded neat as a prayer. James' lavender candle, the one he used to light when he wanted the house to smell fancy, as he'd say with that crooked smile. And his photo, the one I still set beside me at dinner, like he never left. I had spent weeks picturing it all. Me, an old woman with shaky knees, standing barefoot in Hawaiian sand, holding onto my sun hat so it wouldn't fly away. Talking to James under a sky melting into oranges and purples, the sunset he always swore he'd take me to see, one day. I could almost hear him teasing me, "Come on, honey, live a little." But then that message came, short, cold, and sharp enough to cut the air around me. And suddenly, everything I packed, every hope, every silly little dream, felt like it was slipping right through my fingers. Like I had been holding on to smoke. I sat there whispering to myself, "Lord, what am I even doing?" My chest felt tight. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind people don't see. The kind that makes you hold your breath just to stop your heart from breaking louder. Because I didn't just lose a vacation. I lost a moment I'd been saving for decades. A moment I thought I'd finally get to share with the people I loved. And I swear, nothing stings quite like realizing the people you do anything for don't feel the same way anymore. What if the dream you've been saving for slowly starts feeling like it doesn't even have a spot for you anymore? That night, I sat at my old kitchen table, the one with the wobbly leg James always promised he'd fix, and opened my laptop. The glow from the screen hit my face, and there it was. Hawaii Travel Fund, $21,763.84. I just stared at that number. $21,763.84. Funny how a number can feel like a heartbeat. Every single dollar came from late-night tutoring, when my eyes burned but I kept going anyway. From skipping little treats, no new shoes, no takeout meals, no just because coffees. From saying maybe next month to things I wanted and sometimes even things I needed. 3 whole years of quiet sacrifices. 3 years of hope I tucked away like loose change. But that night, for the very first time, I didn't see the beach I had dreamed of. I didn't see me walking next to my son, or my grandbabies holding my hands. I didn't see the sunset James always wanted to show me. I saw something else. I saw a place where I wasn't wanted. A trip I had paid for, but apparently didn't belong on. A family memory being built without me, like I was some extra character who didn't fit the storyline. And it hit me in the gut, quiet but deep. I whispered, "Lord, was I really saving for a dream that didn't include me at all?" That number that once felt like hope, suddenly looked like a reminder. A reminder that love can shift, doors can close, and the people you'd bend over backwards for can start acting like you're just extra baggage. And that kind of hurt? It doesn't yell. It just sits in your chest, heavy as a stone. Sometimes silence is the only answer people deserve. When Nathan and Tanya realized the cards were declined, it must have hit them like a brick. That kind of panic, you can hear it even through a phone. Suddenly my quiet little world lit up like Times Square at Christmas. Calls. Texts. Voicemails. Back to back. No pauses. No space to breathe. It was almost funny, in a painful sort of way. Hours earlier, I was the woman who didn't fit their plans. The one they could leave behind without a second thought. But the second the money stopped working? Oh, now I mattered again. I sat there at the table, watching the phone vibrate against the wood. The screen kept lighting up with Nathan's name, then Tanya's, then unknown. Probably trying from the airport phone. My heart thumped, sure. I'm a mother. Mothers feel everything, even when we wish we didn't. But I didn't move. Didn't reach for the phone. Didn't try to save them from the mess they created. For once, the quiet felt peaceful. Like a soft blanket I hadn't wrapped around myself in years. Their words had cut me so many times. The sighs, the attitude, the eye rolls. The way they made me feel like I was too much or not enough. So this time, I let the silence answer for me. And honestly, it felt kinder than anything they'd said to me. In a long, long time. What if the family you need isn't the one you were born into? I booked 7 quiet days in Hawaii, not for Nathan, not for Tanya. But for 6 women who carried heartbreak the way I carried mine. Women who'd been overlooked, pushed aside, or treated like they were just extra in someone else's story. We weren't blood, no. But pain has a way of stitching people together tighter than DNA ever could. At the villa's dining table, I set James' photo right in the center. His soft smile catching the glow of the evening lamps. Then I lit the lavender candle, the one he used to say made our whole home feel warm. The scent drifted through the room, like he'd just stepped in from the porch. The other women sat around me, each carrying their own quiet ache. And yet somehow, in that shared breath, I felt less alone. For the first time in a long time. I didn't feel like I had to shrink myself or tiptoe around anyone's moods. No eye rolls, no sharp comments, no cold shoulders. Just gentle company. Real company. And sitting there, surrounded by women who understood loss in their bones. I realized something I should have known all along. I wasn't invisible. Not here. Not anymore. I was finally seen. Seen in a way my own family hadn't bothered to see me in years. Freedom doesn't always mean walking away, sometimes it means choosing who walks with you. I stood on the beach, toes sinking into the warm sand, the ocean humming its steady hush like a whispered lullaby. The sky was soft, pink, gold, a little bruised around the edges, like it understood heartbreak too. For years, I'd carried this knot in my chest. The quiet belief that I'd been left behind by the very people I raised, loved, and bent over backward for. That kind of hurt sits deep, real deep. It makes you question your worth, your place, your everything. But then, something shifted. As I looked up, I saw them. Those 6 women walking toward me, their dresses fluttering in the breeze, their smiles warm and real. No judgment. No expectations. No, you should've, or, why didn't you? Just, kindness. Pure, simple, steady kindness. And right there, with the waves brushing my ankles and the sun dipping low, it hit me. I wasn't abandoned. I wasn't forgotten. I wasn't the leftover someone shoved aside. I was surrounded by people who chose me. Not because they needed something. Not because it was convenient. Not because I paid for anything. But because they genuinely cared. Do you know how soft and healing that feels? Like someone finally handing you a warm blanket after years of shivering. In that moment, I realized something I should have learned a long time ago. Freedom isn't always about walking away with a dramatic goodbye. Sometimes. It's as simple, as powerful, as beautiful as choosing who gets to walk beside you. And for the first time in a long time, I chose right. Healing doesn't shout, it whispers. The Hawaiian sunset spread across the sky like a soft blanket of gold, the kind that makes you exhale without even realizing you were holding your breath. For the first time in what felt like forever, nothing around me demanded anything. No tension. No tight smiles. No walking on eggshells in my own family. Just, quiet. The wind brushed my cheeks so gently it almost felt like a familiar touch. The kind I'd been missing for years. The kind James used to give when he'd tuck my hair behind my ear and whisper, "You're okay, I'm right here." Standing there, listening to the waves roll in one soft whisper at a time, I felt something settle inside me. Not loud, not dramatic, not the kind of healing people post about with big speeches and glittery captions. This was different. This was slow, warm, steady. Like someone placing a hand on your heart and telling it, quietly, you can rest now. For once, I felt a calm that didn't need approval, permission, or anyone else's validation. No performing strength. No trying to earn a place. No worrying about being too much or not enough. Just, me. Breathing. Existing. And finally, not hurting. This peace wasn't borrowed. It wasn't given by someone who could take it away. This peace was mine. Real, honest, deep in your chest peace. The kind that arrives on its own. And stays. The strongest bonds are often built from shared pain. That evening, we gathered in a quiet circle, the flickering candlelight dancing across our faces like little reminders of hope. 6 women, each carrying her own heartbreak, her own quiet scars, her own stories nobody had ever wanted to hear. And yet, here we were, together, safe and willing to be seen. We shared the things we'd buried deep inside for decades. Marriages that had faded into silence. Children who had drifted away before we had the chance to guide them. Dreams that were set aside, postponed, or quietly sacrificed for everyone else. There was no judgment. No comparing pain. No one trying to fix the other. Just understanding. Just listening. Just knowing, I see you. I know you. You are not alone. And in their eyes, I finally felt what I had been longing for so long. Validation. Recognition. The gentle, unspoken message that I mattered, not for what I did or paid for. Not as a placeholder or an afterthought. But for me. For the woman who had carried a heart full of love through so much and somehow kept it beating. For the first time in years, I felt valued. Truly, deeply valued. And it was more healing than any vacation, any gift, any gesture of recognition could ever be. Sometimes you don't lose a family, you find the one you were meant for. Love doesn't shout. It doesn't wave a flag or demand attention. It doesn't make you beg for a seat at a table you've already earned with your heart and your sweat. Real love, real love just shows up. Quiet. Steady. Honest. Uncomplicated. That night, sitting in that warm circle of flickering candlelight, I felt it all around me. 6 women, each carrying their own scars, their own losses, their own stories that no one had wanted to hear. And yet, they held me. Not because I paid for a trip, not because I offered favors, not because it was convenient. They held me simply because they saw me, and chose to. It's a strange kind of relief, to finally realize that family isn't always the people you're born to. It's the people who stay, who care, who lift you up without asking anything in return. It's the people who make you feel safe in your own skin again. And in that gentle circle of understanding, warmth, and quiet laughter, I finally understood something powerful. I hadn't lost a family that day. I hadn't been forgotten, overlooked, or abandoned. I had found one. A family built on love, respect, and the kind of acceptance that doesn't demand perfection. And for the first time in years, I felt whole again. Truly, deeply, undeniably whole.